UFC Bantamweight, Casey Kenney, back on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. How's life right now in Arizona?
For sure, man. Anytime. Life in Arizona is good. The heat seems to it's not gone, but it cooled down these last couple of days, and we're almost through like that big heat wave. So I think no more days of like 115 and stuff in Phoenix.
That's a heat
Too
wave for
many of those.
real.
I think we broke a record this year for like days over 115.
All right, all
So
right. Now, this year has been a wild year. And in the UFC, you have to make these adjustments, right? And the
right.
biggest adjustment is COVID fight week. Now, going through that, how was that experience? It was weird because you fought during the regular UFCs. Now with the COVIDs, like what is the difference?
One, it was like we were all locked down to that hotel, which I mean, everybody's at one hotel normally, but nobody besides the UFC staff or fighters were allowed in and out of the hotel. We were allowed to come and go or get like Uber Eats or something like that, but we were allowed to come and go until Friday night. So they do a testing on Friday after weigh-ins, and then they get the results back Saturday, fight day. So then you're free to go after the fight. But that Friday to Saturday, you're kind of locked down to the hotel premises. So other than that, I mean, it was pretty normal, man. Fight week's almost like a quarantine in the hotel anyways. You may go out and do a little bit of stuff, but workout rooms in the hotel, you're normally hanging out in the hotel a little bit. Normally not going out to eat at that point. Somebody's giving you food. So it's pretty similar. It's the hotel life for Tuesday to Saturday.
Yeah, it's a trip that fights are being pulled on fight day, and you just mentioned that you are tested on Friday, so it makes sense because the results come back the
Right.
next day.
Right. And so for me, when I got to Vegas, I know the Fight Island will be a little different, but they test you when you get there, and then you got to kind of hang out. And next day you get your results, which we never heard anything. Obviously you hear something if you're positive, but you don't hear anything if you're negative, and then you're kind of free to come and go as you please the rest of the week. And then after weigh-ins, then that's when you're locked down to the hotel premises. So they test us again, and if you've come, if you picked it up that week or whatever for some odd reason, that's kind of safe bet there that you're good to go on Saturday.
Unforeseen circumstances for all these shows, but hey, at least you got a job, you get to work, and you're coming
Can't
off.
complain, man. I can't
Exactly.
complain. Even as a fighter, like I'm grateful to be in the UFC and having fights. If it was up to me, I'd fight every weekend. But just to be having fights right now, if the guys like, and I know Bellator got back, but like PFL and stuff, they canceled everything till next year. So, I feel for those guys. But I'm just glad to be working right now.
Definitely. Well, you're coming off a slick submission win over Louis Smoka. Right now, you're sitting at 3-1 in the UFC. How do you feel about the progression so far in the UFC? Your progression?
I think like anybody, sometimes it takes some time to find your stride and stuff. And not that I didn't have good performances before my last one, but my weight was a little bit bigger. That gave me a little bit a little boost in confidence, as well. And I just felt a lot more relaxed out there. Like Marab fight, I felt like I was forcing stuff, and even the first couple fights, trying to make things happen instead of just letting them happen. And that's kind of where I found with Smoka. I found it the first, few minutes, it was only a few minutes long, but the first few seconds of the fight, I felt calm. I felt in rhythm, and I'm just going to kind of keep riding with that. And I think I found my groove.
Now, with the Marab fight, you go back, you go probably watch it, right, multiple times to see, like, what you can pinpoint as mistakes you made. And did you alter anything with your training or your preparations because of that fight?
Maybe a little bit focusing on some body lock stuff, but I feel like Marab is a type of style that, like, he's one of a kind. There may be a couple guys like him, but they're not going to do it exactly like he does anywhere in the top 10, but not really. I felt like my mistakes were more mentally in the fight than physically, like preparation or anything like that. Like I said, The weight thing was a little bit of the diet and just kind of time of not cutting to 125. Letting my body grow into the bantamweight weight class and everything. And I think if I got 8 to 10 pounds more on that Marab fight, I think a couple things change, and then just the way I go about it in the fight, I stay creative instead of trying to take his head off with every punch. That may be a different fight, or a few things I could do differently in the grappling world too. So just making small adjustments for that, and I think that fight's a lot different.
Well, that's a fight that we will probably see again in the future.
Yeah, man, I'd like to run that one back. Hopefully, I'm going to hope he keeps winning, and I'll see him at the top.
Definitely. Now, your next fight, UFC Fight Island, first international fight for the UFC. They offer you Alateng. Did it surprise you a bit that they gave you a guy like that, since you are a guy that's climbing up in the rankings?
Yeah, I mean, he's 2-0 in the UFC. I didn't expect to jump back into the rankings off of the Smoka win. I figured there'd be a couple more. So, it's a good guy. He's 2-0 in the UFC. Hasn't lost in the UFC yet. He may not have, a number by his name or, a big following or anything like that. But, he's a tough guy, and, he's fought a couple tough guys as well. So, I think it's a good matchup. I'm in a position where, I just need to keep winning, keep putting guys away. And, as of right now, he's undefeated in the UFC. So, I feel like it's a great matchup.
All right. Well, Alateng's last fight was somewhat controversial, the decision over Ryan Benoit in Korea late last year. When you analyze that fight, what is your breakdown of what happened? Do you feel like he won that fight?
It was super close. I feel like the third round was the deciding factor. 1 and 2 were kind of obvious. And then the third round, honestly, if you look at it as a fight aspect, I felt like Benoit landed the better shots, but obviously Alateng got the takedowns. For me, I'd give it to the guy beating the other guy up. Right? He didn't do a whole lot with the takedowns. I'm kind of the way my mind scores the grappling aspect is, if cool, you got a takedown, great, but what'd you do with it? Even if you were threatening submissions, you don't have to necessarily beat him up, but nothing was done with those takedowns, and there was a few times that Benoit was really hurting him in the third round. So I feel like it could have went either way. Maybe leaning a little bit towards Benoit, but it was just such a close fight that hats off to both of them.
Well, I completely agree with you on that, man. I feel like if you're doing the damage, you should be winning the rounds, right? It's not like you take somebody, unless there's no damage being done and he takes you down 15 times, then it's a different story, right?
Right. And if you're on your feet not doing anything and the guy's getting takedowns and not doing anything, well, it's like, okay, the takedown guy, obviously. But if you're on your feet landing shots and this guy's getting takedowns and not doing anything, I feel like, it's a fight. The guy landing the shots kind of wins in that boat. But I'm not a judge though. That's why I'm trying to put guys away. I have been my whole career, but like I said, I think I found my groove, and I'm gonna run with it. Try to go on a finish streak here.
Alateng, he hasn't lost since 2017, and that loss was to Kai Asakura, who is actually the current bantamweight champion for Ryzen. He broke his jaw. Alateng broke his jaw in that fight. Do you think injuries like that haunt a fighter somewhat moving on with their career?
I don't know, man. I think as a fighter, you deal with injuries. I haven't broken my jaw, but I actually have a close friend that just recently broke his jaw in February, and I know just from what I've seen of him as of right now, he's back training, sparring already. Same mentality, same killer that I've seen before. But we've all went through some major injury. I'm sure the jaw is kind of similar. I've heard it's one of the worst, but I've had ACL injuries and stuff like that, where you find out who you really are during those situations. So sounds like he's been on a win streak since. So maybe that switched some gears in his training or his mentality or something, and it's working for him. But doesn't really matter what he brings to the table. I know what I'm bringing to the table October 3rd. So. We'll see what happens.
Have you been splitting your time normally, like with Rise and the lab in Arizona?
Yeah, we're pretty much back here to normal in Arizona. Not fully. We still have some mask mandates and stuff like that, but we're back to team training at the lab, and then I'm doing my normal stuff here in Tucson as well. That's where I'm at right now. Actually, do a couple days a week down in Tucson. I have a rise, and then the rest of the time up in Phoenix at the lab.
What type of performance are you expecting out of yourself against Alateng? That guy, he brings it, man. He's pretty tough,
Brings
you
it.
know. Like I just said, he broke his jaw. He comes back. He wins a bunch in a row.
Uh, man, I feel just like you said, he's gonna come forward and it's gonna be a fight. I think I put him away, and if he happens to survive, it's gonna be a bloody mess and it's gonna be fight of the night. But I think I'm just too creative. I have way too many weapons for him. Like, he's tough and he brings it, but that at this level that only gets you so far. And I think I'm gonna expose some holes in his game come that date.
All right, a couple more questions on
Yeah.
a couple topics in the bantamweight division. The first one is a past opponent, Ray Borg. He announced his retirement and then unretired a few days later. What do you make of all that happening?
I missed the unretirement. That guy, he seems to be all over the place. Just from missing weight with me, and then how he acted after the fight, and then just like you said, retires one day, unretires. But I get the retired thing. Like, you get cut from the UFC. He's only 24, 25, so he's been with the UFC since he's been 19, 20 years old, probably, right? The rest of the organizations are going to pay you dog shit money, it's not even, it's like going to be a tenth of what he's used to fighting for. His contract was pretty good. I know I got a percentage of it, so I know what he was making, and he's making good money in the UFC. So to even go get close to that anywhere else would be tough. So I get where he's coming from. That would be probably the ultimate thought, but the kid's still young. Maybe a little switch. Obviously, he's physically gifted, but maybe a little switch in the mentality or something like that. I don't know exactly what he needs, but a little switch in something, and maybe we'll see him back.
No doubt, man. Another thing, another big topic is Cody Garbrandt, man. You experienced fighting at flyweight, and you had a lot of success. Cody's going down, dropping to flyweight, 125, fighting for the title. What obstacles do you think he's gonna face dropping that extra 10 pounds?
That's a terrible weight cut, man. I feel like just the camps are harder at that weight. The diet, he's gonna run into that because from what I've heard, Garbrandt doesn't walk around too heavy, so he's probably eating about whatever he wants most of camp to make bantamweight. To make flyweight, he's going to have to be on a strict diet, and that's going to kill not only his injury or his energy, but the risk of injuries and stuff like that go up when you're taking in less calories as the output goes out. That's a total game changer, and that's where I'm in a way better world. Now at bantamweight, like, I gained some weight, but it's not that cut. Like, that cut was taking me to my bare minimum. And that's what he's going to experience. And if he's never done that the bounce back is tough. I've been doing that for years and used to be able to bounce back. But I'm sure. I was just saying, he's got the. Did you hear the Performance Institute? He's got the UFC Performance Institute to help him with the weight cut. So I'm sure it'll be the best he can get. But just the physical feeling of cutting the weight and bouncing back for the fight, it's going to be tough.
Do you think it's a mistake to fight for the title in your first cut to 125? Should he have taken should he have done a couple test runs, or at least one test run to drop the weight to see, like GSP did it? He's did it in the past.
Right.
He hasn't actually fought at 155, but he did it to kind of have confidence in himself that he's able to do it.
Right. I guess that's a personal thing, man. I guess, he may have been down that low. He may have been to 125 in wrestling or something, not, but that's still been years ago. We may have played around with it that, and we didn't hear about it type of thing. But you'd never catch me down on that weight unless it was for a fight. So, you know, a test run like that, he's probably thinking the same thing, you know, let's just go for it. It's a ballsy move, but, you know, we're in a sport where sometimes ballsy moves are good.
All right. Well, you're back in the octagon, man. October 3rd, UFC Fight Island. It's a great stylistic matchup, man. I feel like this is gonna be some crazy exchanges on the feet is gonna happen, and I'm excited for it, man. Thank you, Casey, for the time. All the best to you, man.
Hey, thanks for your time as well, man. Definitely going to put on a show on October 3rd, so tune in.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.